I'm Tammy Tiehel-Stedman. This is Amy Tiehel. We are sister filmmakers. How many people are here for the first time? Yay! Because we always get worried about repeating. And God bless you guys who have heard our stuff like for eight years or something.
We have all new information.
So we're going to tell you, since a lot of you are new, a little bit about each other and what we do and who we are, and then we'll get going. So I am a producer. And I started in the business as a production assistant, which is sort of the entry level for any of you guys who want to like work on a real set someday. Production assistant is sort of the person who does all the odd jobs, and you're a gopher and you run around and you get stuff for people, and it's your way to get on set and start meeting people and learning and absorbing. So I started as a production assistant. I worked in Philadelphia for a number of years, worked my way up as like production manager, production coordinator. And then I moved to Los Angeles and went to film school and became a producer. And I've done a bunch of short films, and I did a feature film that we shot here in Philadelphia 2 years ago called Slow Learners, which is on Netflix right now.
And she's an Academy Award winner. Did you say that?
No, I did not. The short film that I did as my master's thesis film at the American Film Institute went out in the world and went to festivals and won a bunch of festivals. And then we got nominated for an Academy Award and we won, which was like crazy and amazing. Thanks. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
And I am Amy. I'm a writer, director, actor. I started here in Philly right after college as a production assistant type. I was doing educational documentaries here locally. And then I moved to New York and worked for HBO for many years as what they call a production manager. A production manager works behind the scenes and basically takes care of sort of all the nuts and bolts of a production, what you don't see. Hiring the crew, doing the schedules, dealing with the budget, the coordinating of everything basically. And then I got sort of bored of that. I was working on the Chris Rock show and I thought, wow, Chris Rock is like making his dream come true, and I'm not. So I decided that I wanted to be an actor, and I started acting school in New York. And then I moved to Los Angeles and was there for many years auditioning for commercials and films. And then it came back to Philly and evolved into a writer-director type. So Tammy and I just did a short film a couple years ago together called Redcoats. It's a 19-minute short film. We've won a couple of awards and been to a bunch of festivals locally. And we're sharing this film because it's a short and is more in line with what you're doing in this process. And we're going to show you two quick clips from the film, and really that's so that we can use it as a frame of reference for what we're going to talk about as we move forward. Please, sir.
You enter. See what you can find. Take everything, their clothes too.
So we wanted to show you those two different clips to show you the exterior of that property that we used and the interior. We're going to talk about that a little in a little bit.
So real quick today we're going to talk about your pre-production plan, which is tasks undertaken before production begins, crew, equipment, call sheets, shot list, your locations, your casting, and some on-set tips. Pre-production, pre-production, pre-production. It is very important, and as James McAvoy says, filmmaking is a miracle of collaboration.
Pre-production is everything that you're going to think about and organize before you step foot on your first day of shooting and your first location and actually start shooting your film. It's all the stuff that you can think about from looking through your script and try to figure out any problems that could happen when you're shooting and fix them before they even happen.
Right. So we're talking about your crew, and for a lot of you, you'll probably play multiple roles, writer, director, actor, everything. But we sort of broke it down to the basics of what you might have on your films for this project. So writer, director, producer, your cinematographer, audio, you might have a boom operator, or you might be using wireless mics, your editor, your actors, and your production assistant. You're going to think about your equipment, camera and accessories. Are you using a tripod? Is it going to be handheld? Your audio equipment, your mics. We said if shooting on an iPhone, consider a clip-on mic for the phone. Your lights, your batteries, do they need to be charged? So all these things are things you want to think about before you get on set or the days that you're shooting.
And we know that you guys wear a lot of hats. Like sometimes you'll act in it and you'll be shooting it, and your friend who's also acting in it might be doing audio and switching off with people. So just make sure that the people that you pick to work with on your project take it as seriously as you do, and maybe you crew for each other. That's always a good way to do it because you're caring about each other's project and you're kind of a little bit more invested. And we had suggested a production assistant. All that really means is if you have your core group of people who are working on this, pick one person whose job is production assistant, which is just to be the person who's like an extra body in case anything goes wrong. In case anything goes wrong on your location, or you forgot a prop that you need that day, you don't have to stop what you're doing and leave and go get it. You have somebody who's dedicated to handle all that kind of stuff. Go get food for people, you know, all those kind of things. It's just a great idea to have one extra person to help you out.
Definitely. And batteries, and we will say this a bunch of times, do they need to be charged? Whether that's cameras, phones, lights, whatever needs a battery. We have learned in production it needs to be charged before you
and
go
maybe
on
have
set.
a backup.
Have backups.
And remember that in cold weather, shooting outside, batteries get used up more quickly. And so we were on a project with that. In fact, in the beginning of that, the drone shot, it was a really cold day, and the drone like started not working, and we had to bring it down and put a blanket over it and let it warm, and then quickly get it up and do another take, and then bring it back down. So you just run into some of these kinds of things.
Right, and on that, that's why being prepared is so important, because no matter how prepared you are on a film, things always come up that you don't anticipate. So as you go into your shoot days, just try to think through all the things and all the elements of the day when you're shooting so that you are as prepared as possible. That way when things come up, it doesn't throw you as much and you don't waste an entire day trying to figure them out on the day you're supposed to be shooting your film.
You want to be able to just shoot and shoot and shoot when that's your shoot day and not be stopping down a million times.
Right. This is a call sheet. This is what they put together on professional films. This is what the schedule is.
We know that you will not need anything this detailed. We're showing it to you guys for those of you who are interested in the way that crews work and film sets run. If you want to do something, if you want to continue down this path of being a filmmaker, we're just going to give you an idea of some of the ways that things are run, and you can do it on a much simpler level.
They do have templates for call sheets online if you're interested in setting it up this way, but if not, you want to keep it real simple. This just kind of breaks down the elements. You are going to get this PowerPoint in a PDF, so everything on here you can look at.
We're going to give it to the teachers.
Yeah. But so it just breaks down, what the call time is for everybody at the top, 9 o'clock a.m., and they usually bring the actors in later. You have all your scene numbers from your script, all the descriptions from the script, the numbers over here where it says cast. They give the cast a number, right? So
Each character gets a number.
yeah, each character gets a number, right? So I played Emily, and anytime I see number 4, I know that that's when I'm on set. And that's just sort of the way they do it there. And then they also put in all the props, all the wardrobes, so everybody, crew, cast, everybody knows what the scenes are that you're shooting, who needs to be on set when, what are the props that you need, and all that stuff. Again, this is way more complex, but just gives you an idea.
And I think some of you know this, but maybe not everybody knows this. When you have a script, let's say your character is inside the house, some of the scenes, and then there are some scenes that happen outside the house. When you're shooting, you don't shoot inside scene, move outside. Inside, you take you look at your script and you list all the inside scenes in a row, so you're shooting out of order. And you do all the inside scenes,
right.
And then when you're done, then you move outside and you shoot all the outside
right.
scenes. And where it gets complicated is if the character's wardrobe changes, right? And you have to just remember those kinds of things. So thinking about it all, going through the script before you shoot and thinking about it all, and just making simple lists of what you're doing helps everybody. And then you have good communication with the people who are helping you out, so you're all on the same page.
Right, and this call sheet shows you what Tammy's talking about. See here it says DN, D1, that's day, right? So you see woods, 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 woods. We didn't do like 2 scenes in the woods and then come into the house. We call it shooting out the space. So we shot all the woods first that you saw those people walking through. We did the woods and then we moved into the house. And we scheduled this out so that the stuff that took place at night in the film actually took place at night during when we were shooting. Right, exactly. All right. And then this is just a shot list. Again, this is probably more complex than you need. This was my shot list for the film. You have your scenes, you have the script here. A, B, we had 2 cameras, so it just means A or B camera. The shot type, is it a wide or a medium? And then over there you have my notes. And those were my notes to myself, but also for the director of photography. And this really helped us when we came into the scenes. We weren't like, well, how are we going to shoot this? You know, we had thought that through already. So when we got into the location, I knew that there were certain shots that I need to have. I need to have a medium on this shot. I need to have a close-up. Do you guys know what all that means already? Like wide, medium? Okay, so you already know all that. Okay, so that's just an example. Again, you'll be able to look at this.
Yeah, it's just a game plan. Even if you make a simple list,
yeah,
so that you are giving it some thought before you show up to shoot that first day. Because things can get a little chaotic. You've got a lot of moving parts on a set. So anything you can do, ahead of time will help you to relax and know that and you just cross it off. Got it. Or if you're, suddenly you're short for time, you say, okay, well, maybe we don't need this. We'll cross that out. It just helps you to kind of stay ahead of it all.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about locations. This is from a quote from Rachel Morrison, who shot Mudbound and Black Panther. Did everybody see Black Panther or any of those films? I mean, her as a cinematographer, she's like amazing. So she says, there's something so inspiring about being in real locations where you can feel the tactile qualities from the layer of paint that has been chipping off and the hundreds of years that have been lived in the space. And my example of that is, have you all seen Shawshank Redemption? Has anyone seen that film? Okay. So there's a prison in that film, right? And that's a real place. And they looked for that. And when you watch that film, you definitely get a sense of that place. And so that's basically what she's saying here. The locations can add a whole other element and really essentially be a character in a film.
And we always try to encourage you guys to use what you have access to. We've been watching these Greenfield Youth Film Festival films and judging for years, 8 years, 10 years, I don't know. And so we see a lot of things shot in houses, schools, cars, woods, hallway, which is because that's what you have access to, and that makes sense. What we would like to say is just try to think outside of the box a little bit. If you have access to something that maybe not everybody else has access to, like you can get in, you're allowed to shoot inside of a church that you attend, or your parents own a restaurant and you can shoot in the restaurant, or you're somebody has like access to a really nice office building. Think about that, maybe even before you write your screenplay, and kind of tailor it. We said to each other, what do we have access to here in Philadelphia that our friends who live in New York and LA don't have access to? And we said Revolutionary War houses and stuff. That stuff is all over Philly, all over Pennsylvania. So we found the Pennsylvania Colonial Plantation, which is where we shot. And not only did it look great from the outside, and it was a working farm and all this stuff, but everything that you see inside, when the characters go inside, all the bowls on the furniture, everything was already there. And we paid one location fee, and we got all of that production value. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, think about what you have access to that would make your script, your project, when it's done, look really great.
Yeah. All right, so we kind of covered that. So Location Scout, again, this goes in with pre-production. On big films, they take the heads of all the departments, and they go to all the locations that they're going to shoot on that film together.
It's like having a production meeting at
every location, and they talk it through. They look at the windows. How are we going to light this? How are we going to shoot this room? So, like, if you're shooting in your house, get whoever's working on the film with you, have them come over and say, okay, this scene is going to take place in the living room. Look at the living room. And you don't need your actors there to do this, right? This is just the writer, director, producer, whoever's shooting for you, sound, and you're talking it through. Are we going to shoot on that side of the room, and set up the camera even and look at it, or use your phone and you know, see how it's going to work, because in your mind, where are the power outlets? In your mind, you may see it a certain way, and then you go and shoot and you're like, oh, this looks terrible, this isn't going to work, and then you're going to waste an hour of your shoot day trying to figure that out. So do it before. Mm-hmm. So as Tammy said, look and see where your outlets are, electricity, what's the lighting, are there windows? Do you have natural light in that room? What kind of lights? Fluorescent lights look very different when you're shooting under them. They also buzz, so you might hear that in a microphone. You know, lamps. You have a bunch of lamps in there. What's it going to look like? And consider your audio issues. Is your house near a train station? I mean, you know, you have trains running through every 15 minutes. You're like, hold for the train.
Every film I've ever worked on, we've had times where we've been like, holding for the airplane, and everybody's standing around waiting.
Because you know, those mics are very sensitive, so they pick up a lot. Even, again, like these fluorescent lights, we can't really hear them, but the microphones can.
Yeah, so we bring that up, not because you can't do anything about planes. We bring it up because if you're doing a location scout in the school where you're shooting, you can just be listening for if there's like any loud buzzing or anything like that that maybe would make it not a great location to shoot in.
Right. And then just locations, the business of how to secure a location. Obviously, ask people you know. If it's your house, that's really easy. But again, if it's a place that's maybe a little bit different and you want to get in somewhere and you don't know someone, I mean, it's as simple as calling them and asking them and explain you're doing a student film for school. A lot of people are open to that, you know. And sometimes they want to read the script. They just want to make sure you're not doing something strange. You know, you send an email, tell them how long you're going to be there, the equipment and people you're going to have on site, and what you'll be doing there. And on professional films, usually they require insurance.
Also on professional films, you have to get a location release sign, which is a contract between you and the person that owns the property, and they sign off saying that you can be there and it can appear on film. You guys don't need to worry about that. I'm just mentioning it so you know, like, that's what happens.
On location, we are always taught this on films. You respect the space that you're in, and when you're wrapping out of a location, you put everything back that you moved, and you clean up when you're leaving. And the film set rule is always leave it better than you found it.
Yeah.
If you move things around for lights and things like that, and a lot of times they even take a picture of the space when they go in, so they know where everything goes.
Things,
yeah. And then the casting process. So you want to create character descriptions that are specific. This is for your actors who you're going to cast. Again, if it's just your friends, not relevant. But if you're asking somebody from the theater department you don't know that well, you know, you want to say, here's what I'm looking for in my film. My example was female, 20s, edgy, wears funky glasses, obsessed with Doctor Who. That just gives you a very quick snapshot of what kind of person this might be. You create what's called a casting notice, and we'll show you an example of that. And sides are excerpts of the script that you give to your actors. They are used for the casting session, and they are also used when you're on set. It's basically, they take the script and they make it real small, and they give it to all the crew and all the actors, and it's all the scenes that you're shooting on that specific day. So everybody on set is on the same page, literally, and they know what they're shooting that day. And the actors can access them. You know, they're coming into a scene and they're like, what is my line? And they pull the sides out and they can read and see what they need to do.
But for you guys, for your casting session, all you really want to do, even if you're going to try to pick between two friends who you want to be in your project in a certain role, you just go through the script and find like your favorite scene or like the most intense scene for that character, and you give that to the actors, and that's what they'll do and come in and audition for you. And we always advise to record it, even if it's on your phone. record all your casting or your auditions, and don't cast anybody on the spot. Don't say like, okay, you're great, you have it. Take the time when everybody's gone to sit quietly and look through the auditions and then kind of really think about it and then select who you want to be your actor.
Right. And generally for casting sessions, you would get what are called headshots, which is, you know, pictures of the actors. Obviously, you probably won't need that for this because you'll probably know most of the people you're casting, but that's what they do for a casting session. They send out the casting notice, they get all the headshots in, they go through them, and they say, okay, we want these 10 to come in for the actual audition. And then schedule a day for your auditions, whether a morning or an afternoon. And, you know, this is how to set the session up. You ask your teacher for a room that you can use. You set up chairs outside for the actors who are waiting to audition. Actors don't like to watch other actors audition. It makes them uncomfortable. And the actor who's auditioning doesn't want other actors watching them do their work. You know, you get a camera, put it on a tripod, record the auditions so you can look at them after, as Tammy said. And you schedule the auditions for a time slot with for each actor. So, you know, if it's a short scene, give it 15 minutes. If it's longer, give it a half an hour. And you know, 1 o'clock this actor, 1:30 that actor, and do that throughout the morning. And as the director, I would say don't read with the actor. Have somebody else sitting next to you reading with the actor so you can watch them in real time and even look at the monitor and watch them while they're auditioning.
Or your phone. Even
or your phone, if you're just doing it on your phone. It's hard as the director to read with the person auditioning and really get a sense of what they're doing. And if you're casting a romantic comedy or romance type film, it's good to have both actors on camera so you can get a sense of their chemistry. Are they supposed to be funny together? Are they supposed to be sweet together? It's hard if one's here and one's in front of camera. Put them both on camera and watch them both together. And watching them in real time, you might think, oh, those guys are great together. And then later you go watch them on camera and you're like, this is terrible. What was I thinking? So you really have to watch them on camera because that's what the audience is going to be seeing. I think we're good.
And as we said, never cast somebody on the spot. Always wait and think about it and get back to them.
And this is just a sample casting notice. It's the character descriptions and then a quick little blurb about what your little short's going to be about. So the actors go, oh, okay, I fit this description and this is what the little film is about.
And again,
I get it.
Even if it's just your friends, it's something you can text to them, say like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I need. They get a better sense of what you're going for.
And then just to get the most from your actors in an audition, you want to make them feel comfortable. Be prepared on your end so you don't keep them waiting forever because then they lose energy and they might not do a good audition for you. Again, send them the material maybe the day before so they have some time to look at it and get used to it. And we say if using kids in your pieces, you know, we usually don't say action. We let the camera roll as they walk in so we get a sense of who they are because kids get sort of anxious when you say action.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'll have kids in any of your films, but
yeah. We've seen some Greenfield
yeah,
films
that's
that
true.
have had kids.
Yeah, and then again, when you're doing your auditions, I really recommend that you let your actor or friend just do the material the way they think it should be, and then if they're kind of over here and your idea was over here, you say to them, hey, can you try it this way? This is kind of what I was thinking about it, and then
give them a little direction.
Give them a little direction, and then ask them to do it again, totally different, just to see if they can do something more interesting that you didn't expect.
Mm-hmm. On-set tips. So this is like when you're shooting. You're shooting, you know, there's a lot going on, you're loving it, you're getting what you want. We advise before you leave a location, and even after the first couple setups during the day, like the first couple shots that you get, stop, let everybody take a break, let the actors take a break, and watch playback of what you just shot and listen with headphones to the audio so that you make sure that you're getting what you thought you got recorded. We had a situation, we did a documentary recently, we had to do some interviews about people who had Lyme disease, and the first one went really well. The second one, we stopped sort of in the middle to hear playback, and we heard brrrr over all of the women's answers. Fortunately, we didn't, you know, leave, or we didn't get back to our place and discover that happened. We were still there with her, and all that it was the audio cable had come undone just a little bit, and it caused this frequency. So my advice to you is when you're shooting, just check playback every
especially
once in a while.
after the first setup, after you do your first shot, your first scene, stop, rewind, watch the scene, and somebody listen on earbuds and make sure the audio is clean and there's nothing going on that you can't hear it and that you can see everything and it looks good.
Also, we didn't say this in the last class, but there's something known as like a safety take. So let's say you get it, you shoot it, you record it, it's great. Try to get one more take of that same scene, at least one more take, where the audio's good and it looks good and everything, so you have a choice in the editing room.
And then get a friend to be, did you say this already about production assistant? Yeah, we want you, get your friend to do that. And then last, feed your crew. That's like rule number 1 on film sets. You have to feed your crew. You're all asking each other to work for free, so it's a nice little thing to, you know, give everybody a pizza or something like that.
It helps.
It helps, yeah. Questions? We're good. We have 5 minutes, I think. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like, it's harder to do the casting.
Yeah.
You can't really get the actors.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, you're going to do this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't know if you could hear, but she said in school, it's, for them, there aren't a lot of people who want to act or feel comfortable acting. And so for their projects, they sort of have to say, like, well, you're going to be the actor in this. They have to just sort of appoint somebody. And she said, so what is our advice for that? And my question to you is, do you have to use people in school, or are you allowed to, like, contact maybe a local theater? Amy, as an actress, always says to me, actors want to act. Like, the people who are into it are really into it. And they're always looking for opportunities to do it.
Right, like a community theater in your neighborhood.
Or do you have to use students in the school? So I would say you could widen up your net.
And they'll take it much more seriously than a friend. I mean, they'll come in ready to go, you know.
And if you end up having to use somebody, I would just say the better the script, the more interested it is, the more interesting it is for someone to take it on and have lots of conversations and just try to get them to understand where you're coming from mentally, what you're trying to convey. Because if you can get them to understand that and feel the same sort of passion that you feel for it, I think they can bring more to it, even if they're not, you know, really well versed in acting. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Questions? Mm-hmm.
Is there like another place that we can find that short film?
Yeah, so
we can send them the link.
Yeah, we'll
if
send
you're
a
interested
link
in watching it, it's on
yeah.
Vimeo. We can just send you a Vimeo link.
We'll
to
send
watch
it to the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Have you guys written scripts yet? No, not yet. Or you have
Yes.
ideas? What's the time frame? When do you start shooting? Anybody know?
Shooting March 15th.
Yeah.
Oh, you're shooting in the spring?
Yeah.
So you said you did write your scripts already, or no? Oh, you have. Oh, so some okay, some have and some haven't. Okay.
Any other
Gotcha.
questions? Yeah, right here. That film is, what is it or where is it? The film that he asked, what's the film that won an Academy Award? It was a 30-minute short film, kind of a comedy, and it was at the American Film Institute. In order to graduate, you had to do a short. So I produced it, and it was based on, the director grew up in South Dakota on a farm, and she moved to New York City, and her mom, who was like this sweet little farm lady, older lady, came to visit her and made friends with the Hells Angels motorcycle gang across the street while she was there, and asked them to keep an eye on her daughter. And it was like this funny little friendship that they struck up. And so in the film, we have her like going into their clubhouse, and she helps them clean it up, and the daughter doesn't believe that all this is really happening. So anyway, it used to be available on iTunes. It's not anymore. I think I have it on Vimeo now, right? Because we did it for Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. So I might be able to send a link to that to the teachers as well, if that's something. It looks kind of dated now. We shot it in 1997, 96, and we shot it on 16 millimeter. So it's like a square aspect ratio, and it's kind of like grainy, and it's still, the subject matter still holds up.
Yeah,
though,
it's
so,
a good film. It won an Academy Award for a reason. I mean, it's good.
How do you get to, like, how do you become a production
How do you become a production assistant and then move up, which is what we said is the entry-level job on a film set. Another entry-level job is called craft services, and craft services is like you're going to Costco and buying like water and snacks and stuff, and you're hauling it to set, and you're setting it up on a table, and you're running around getting coffee for everybody. Craft services is hard. I did it. She did it. I always say, like, I never want to make coffee for a whole crew again in my life.
I would say too, if you're interested in film and really serious about doing it, if you get on a set as a production assistant, and as someone who's who was a production assistant and hired production assistants, if you get on a set and you have a great attitude and you're a hard worker, you will naturally move up because people go, that person has passion and cares and is responsible. And we know when we see somebody who's got a great attitude and they're like, what do you need me to do? I'll go get that thing for you.
We love that PA.
We're like, that
We're taking him
person,
on every movie we do.
he's never going to not work again just because of his great attitude. And we would say, what are you interested in? Do you want to do camera department? Do you want to be a producer? What department do you want to be in? And we would shuttle you into that department.
Every department needs PAs, and so you can try, like, I'm going to be a camera department PA, and then I'm going to be in production, whatever.
Right.
But in terms of how to find it, you could go on the Greater Philadelphia Film Office website. They have listings that they do, everything from big films coming to town, or like M. Night Shyamalan's movies, to commercials, to like super low budget, and maybe even sometimes student films. And you basically, in the beginning, we volunteered.
People need production assistants all the time. I mean, all the time. Every set needs production assistants.
And you work for free for a couple times. And then you'll be amazed. The people you work with get on other projects. And they remember you because you did a good job. And then they call you. And you slowly, and what happens too is a lot of the people that we started out with have moved up in the world. You know, some of our friends have really amazing jobs in LA now. In New York, and we're all still friends, and we just, help each other if we can. And
it's doable here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're interested, you can do it here in Philly. You know, it just depends on how much work you want to be doing. If you want to be doing it like at the Black Panther level, you've got to go to LA. I mean, that's where that's like the Olympics of filmmaking compared to here. There's just so much going on there. You can't go to LA and not work in the film industry.